21st, 2019 meeting of the Board of Education to order. I think we're going to start out with Mrs. Sego from Vandergrift Elementary, who has a group of kids who've come along with her on one of the very last days before Thanksgiving break.
Yes, and we're ready.
Good to see everybody here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Colbert and board, for allowing us to come tonight. I have a special group of students in front of me. This is our student voice team. It's our very first year to have this team. And what they do throughout the year is they'll be involved in events like this or actually be greeters at our school for special events. They also will have a voice in some things like, for example, I had a student, one of these students had said that they wanted to start a school newspaper. So they'll have a voice in ways to help our campus be a better school. So I'd like them to introduce themselves, and these are all fourth grade students at Vandergrift.
I'm Jack Wilson, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Ethan Coder, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Ryder Roark, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Kate Duncan, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Kellen Davis, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Wilder Newberry, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Madeline Pierce, and I'm in fourth grade.
I'm Hudson Eason, and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Lily Nelms, and I'm in fourth grade. May you please help us with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Come take some pictures real quick. Come on ahead.
Oh, no. We're kind of get all tight up there. Y'all tight. Scoot in, Lily. Scoot in, Lily. Y'all keep scooting in. Keep scooting in. There you go.
All right. Good to see you guys. You can come up front if you'd like.
Cool.
I don't want to get in the way.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Alan with the roll call.
Justin Eichmann.
Here.
Nika Weitzman.
Here.
Megan Hurley.
Here.
Tim Hudson.
Here.
Dr. Bob Moranto.
Here.
Keaton Smith. Here. Get a little longer recognition agenda tonight. You know, there are several ways to be recognized from this podium, win a state championship, do some of those kind of things.
I think we have one item right before you. If
Oh,
that's all right.
I'm sorry.
about that. I should have given you the signal, but what we have is have to deal with the board vacancy, so we have a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll jump right into the recognition. Sorry about that, Alan. So, you see that we have an empty seat here over to Tim's right, and Garrett, about a week ago, submitted his resignation to me. He is moving, and it's one of those situations where you look at it on the map and it looks like he's still in the zone, and we got the address and kind of drilled down, and it's kind of painfully close, about 100 feet, looked like to me, lying right outside the district, and that's kind of a painful thing. He was real excited about running, and had actually even submitted, and then in passing had told me that he's going to be busy because they're moving, and I asked about the address, and there we go. But we have to be sticklers about that. So he was pretty crushed, but he also said that he wanted to stay involved in the district and was looking forward to opportunities to do that, and so consulted with Chris Lawson on this process. And the way it works for school districts is that we have to make an appointment within 30 days from the vacancy. Otherwise, it gets kicked over to the quorum court for them to make the appointment. So we have a duty to make that appointment. The timing is always interesting when you get these because that appointment will last to the next election. And of course, our school board elections have been moved 3 times in 3 years, and this coming 2020, it's been moved back. It started in September, then it was May. Now the legislature moved us back to March 3rd. So this would be an appointment to fill the remainder of a term through March 3rd. So essentially a 3-month appointment. For that, Garrett is in Zone 4, which is sort of the northwest north area of town. Has a little arm that kind of stretches over through the Butterfield zone over to Gully Park, and that zone was up for re-election for a 5-year term, and we have, I guess, 2 qualified candidates who are running for that, so it's a contested election, and so we need to move forward. And just before the meeting, Tim had mentioned to me that that he wanted to, I guess, make a proposal to the board. So I'll turn it over to Tim.
Thank you. I should say, over the years, people have suggested I move 100 feet outside of my zone, but I haven't moved in 23 years. So, yeah, this is an interesting process. We have this vacancy. It's really a 3-month gig, if you will, and I'm sure there'd be tremendous interest. I reached out on my behalf, not acting at the board's direction, but on my behalf, I reached out to Chris Bell. Some of you will remember Chris Bell. She held that seat, let's see, from 01 to 07, and left after that term was up. She's a retired banker, community volunteer, and I asked her last time when it was open if she was interested in being appointed to fill it until the next election, and she said, she gave it a lot of thought and said, kind of busy with other things now and really would not intend to run for the seat again, and so she thought it'd be best if it went to somebody who might actually want to run for another 5-year term. So I reached out to her again recently, and she said she would be willing to serve for the 3 months because the election filing period is done and we have candidates to fill it. I would, and I left a copy of her abbreviated resume. She explained to me that she had destroyed all resumes when she retired and didn't think she'd be looking for a job again. But she is interested in serving. As a banker, I think she brings insight into bond restructuring, and having been on this board for 6 years, an awareness of what our jobs are, and would not need any sort of a major orientation or ramp-up time. And so at your pleasure, I would be happy to move that we appoint Chris Bell, but I would certainly defer to other thoughts and wishes of the board.
So this would be for a 3-month period. In the past, when we've had vacancies, we've gone through a rather prolonged process of trying to get the information out there, get in letters of interest, interviews, all that sort of thing. And it was my thought coming into this that for a 3-month period that didn't seem like maybe the most wise use of our time and public funds. So is there any thoughts or discussion to that proposal by Tim?
Grateful that she's willing to step in for a period of time. So I'm willing to second that motion.
Okay.
And I told her it's either this or we appoint her to like a reapportionment or attendant zone redistribution, and she said she'd rather be on the board.
I would too. I would too. So I guess we have that in the form of a motion from Tim and a second from Nika. Is there any discussion from board members? No? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, that appointment passes. I guess that's 6, if I could do math, 6-0. So we...
She'll have to go through something with the county clerk's office.
She will. There's a swearing in that we'll do. I spoke to Mr. Lawson about kind of all the procedural stuff that we would have to do in the course of an appointment, and we will do that. So until the swearing in happens, she will not be a board member, but we'll work to get that done quickly because we got a lot of stuff, some of the stuff that's on our agenda tonight that's real important for us to be working on. So we welcome Chris Bell to the Fayetteville School Board.
I just want to add, Justin, that my apologies to the board. I have to leave for a work-related meeting. Just so you don't think I'm having fun, I'm going to the quorum court meeting. So I'll leave this delightful body and go to another one. But that'll be in the next probably half hour or so before I have to leave. So.
And if you have to leave, you might give me a signal if you wanted to say a parting word or a parting thought.
Yeah.
So just kind of wave.
I've drafted a 10-minute soliloquy.
Please, yeah,
that I'll,
we'd all love to hear that.
Yeah.
So. Oh, I didn't get with you, but I think we were, Jennifer, are we okay on the vote? I kind of blew through without looking at the.
Trying to update it, but I've never done it in.
Let's just, we did the vote orally as we normally do, so I would say let's go ahead and just record it that way. You got it? Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so next up, Alan. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Absolutely. As we say, there are a couple of different ways to be recognized at this event. You can win a state championship, you can be nominated for an award, or you can go to the White House and accept a national award. And we recently had a staff member that did that from Holt Middle School, and Matt Morningstar is the principal, and Matt's going to introduce her.
Good evening, everyone. It's with great pleasure that we get to have our fifth for Fayetteville Public Schools Presidential Award in Excellence in Math Science Teaching. It is Mrs. Sherry DeSoto, and it's our honor to work with her each and every day. If you've ever had a chance to be into one of her classrooms, you will see an engagement piece that is very, very high. It is a piece where there is involvement from all the kids, access to the curriculum, and also a positive classroom environment, which is nonstop, day in, day out, which is really appreciative. So it is with my honor that I get to introduce Mrs. Sherry DeSoto.
So I was looking up the article about the Presidential Award and saw that it's one of only 215 teachers across the country are honored and get the trip to the White House. So really special honor. And also noted this quote.
It's that special.
For powerful hands-on experiences. She noted that the Ozark Natural Science Center partnership has allowed Fayetteville Public School District to immerse our students in authentic science learning and experience how daily decisions impact the world in which we live. And so both through the ONSC partnership as well as their in-classroom hands-on experiences, it just sounds like a lot of real-world learning opportunities. So thank you for your service. And your dedicated work to make science both interesting and relevant to your students is gaining national attention. We are pleased to see this well-deserved recognition come your way, and we thank you for representing our schools so well in Washington, D.C. Please accept our proud congratulations.
And if you go to the Fayetteville Public Schools Facebook page, there's a video about Ms. DeSoto. It's launched this afternoon. The Above and Beyond Awards are presented each month by Truity Credit Union. They go to any deserving Fayetteville Public Schools staff member. And Kirby Jett is here to make the presentation.
Our November honoree is Abby Ramirez, if she would join us up front. She is a speech pathologist at Happy Hollow Elementary, and one of her colleagues wrote this. This is just Abby's second year working in our district and at our school, and I can proudly say that she is one of the hardest working people I know. She goes above and beyond when working with our students, teachers, and our special education team. Abby has shown initiative in building relationships with both students and staff at Happy Hollow. She is approachable and easy to collaborate with. She also goes out of her way to provide visual supports and behavioral strategies for students she works with who may be struggling in class. This school year, she is co-coaching the after-school Girls on the Run team. She is a part of our Response to Intervention Committee, which meets once a week from 2:30 to 3:30 to discuss students who are struggling academically and/or with behavior, and she has initiated an intervention group to strategically help students not on her caseload. Abby also demonstrates leadership skills as she is supervising a speech therapy intern this semester. Abby is kind, generous, she is a problem solver, and she demonstrates a positive attitude, which makes working with her a joy and a blessing. Congratulations.
And speaking of state championships, we have the state championship Fayetteville High School dance team in the lobby. Excuse me just a second.
I'm Chelsea Snyder, and I'm a senior.
I'm Bella Compton, and I'm a senior. I'm Jillian Johnston, and I am a junior.
I'm Megan Leach, and I'm a junior.
I'm Bailey Payne, and I'm a senior.
I'm Mary J. McConnell. I'm a senior.
I'm Spencer Cullens, and I'm a senior.
I'm Olivia Turner, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Meg Nolan, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Allie Setzer, and I'm a senior.
I'm Anna Taunton, and I'm a junior.
I'm Zoe Hahn, and I'm a junior.
I'm Anna Trumbo, and I'm a junior.
I'm Lexi Sterling, and I'm a junior.
I'm Elizabeth Baker, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ella Garland, and I'm a senior.
I'm Kaylee Pinkleton, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Keely Hutchins, I'm a freshman.
I'm Kayla Calloway, I'm a freshman.
I'm Ashton.
I just want to say these young ladies represented Fayetteville schools with so much class and dedication and pride at the state championship. It was a 6-hour competition between 4 genres. Started at 2 and awards were at 8:30 that night. And so they fought and we have a saying that we're grit and grace, Fayetteville strong, and they truly embody that, and so proud to coach them. And I just want to thank Dr. Colbert and the board for trusting me, not only with dance, with 96 dancers, but with also 92 cheerleaders to empower our young women in our district and just to lead them. They're not only amazing athletes, but they're academically one of the top academic teams. And then they make a difference with their churches and their communities as tutors. One's at the Potter's House right now tutoring, and so she chose to do that over coming here and being acknowledged. So thank you so much for empowering us, empowering me, and go Dogs.
Congratulations, girls. I got to see one of your dances in person and one I saw a video of. I wish we had time to play it because, I mean, I was blown away. You guys are a talented bunch, and I just wanted like a replay. I wanted to watch it over and over. You're just really, really entertaining, talented bunch of girls, and I know you know that, but I wanted to say that as well. So the Fayetteville Public Schools is pleased to recognize and honor the FHS dance team for winning the 2019 6A State Dance Championship. A season of hard work led to the second state dance title in school history. The seniors on the team helped win the first title their freshman year, so it is fitting that you were able to win a state championship for FHS in your last performance in Arkansas. Maybe, unless you stay around and dance somewhere else. But here at FHS for sure. Best of luck in Orlando in February. Please accept our proud congratulations.
Great.
Oh, hang on, we got.
Mamas. Get back in there.
Baker. It's good to see you.
And as we announced at the football game last Friday night, this state championship is the 150th in school history, and that is the most by any high school or school district in Arkansas since 1960, what's considered the modern era. Recently, 4 Fayetteville High School students were invited to participate in Youth TV Bridge and were able to travel to Russia to be part of this program. Will Noah, Ian, Colin, and Bella please come forward?
I'm Ian Lynn. I plan on attending film school. I'm not quite sure where yet. None of the applications have come in yet.
I'm Noah Chakan, and I'm planning on going to film school as well as pursuing acting. Not sure where at yet, but hopefully like California, New York.
I'm Colin Schultz, and I've not really decided what I want to do after high school.
I'm Bella Warner, and I plan to go to Vancouver for film school. Beautiful, amazing.
I mean, the culture was really nice, and it was different than what I think we're all expecting.
But I think, just like getting to work with foreign kids that are halfway across the globe is
Opposite side.
It was interesting to see how different their ideas are and how similar they would be, even though it's a completely different place.
This is just fantastic. I marvel at how bold you are. I never left the country until I was way older than you and still haven't been to Russia. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. Anybody nominate who's your favorite filmmaker? That was going to be one of my choices, that and Fellini. Good choice. Which film? It's hard to say. Full Metal Jacket. I'd say Full Metal, but they're all good. Shining's amazing. Shining's amazing. I'll be curious to see the remake too. Any other? Kubrick's amazing. It's a great choice. Dr. Strangelove, just saw last week again. Scorsese's good. You got a lot of opinions. Anybody else? Any Fellinis? But Kubrick he probably would be my favorite too. So is what? Truffaut's amazing. Overall, Souffrance, among others. The 400 Blows is great. I haven't seen that since the 80s. I haven't seen that in decades. You guys are, man, can I adopt one of you? I mean, I cannot get my kids to watch this. All they watch is Miyazaki, who's great, but still, not. Okay, but I should probably let us get on with things and read your proclamation. And I know you all go to great film schools or great other schools. Fayetteville Public Schools is pleased to recognize and honor you for being selected as a student anchor in the Season 4 of Youth TV Bridge. Your hard work and your reputation for outstanding media production have gained international attention. You've traveled to Russia. You've worked with Russian counterparts. We know you'll do a lot of work ahead. And congratulations to this wonderful global partnership. Thank you.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thanks.
And if you'll stay, you'll just stay up here. Yeah. Did we get a picture? Did you get a picture? Okay, we're good. But Noah needs to stay. Because at the recent Ozark Media Festival, which has become quite a regional event in this part of the nation. Noah was named the Filmmaker of the Year just most recently, just a few weeks ago. Mr. Eichmann.
Congratulations, Noah. What was your submission?
So basically, I had to submit my demo reel, which is basically a compilation of like shots from films that I made along with like a song of my choosing, and then an essay that I'm on.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I'm going to read this award that we're going to recognize you on behalf of the board. The Fayetteville Public Schools is pleased to recognize and honor Noah Chacon for being selected as the Filmmaker of the Year at the 2019 Ozark Media Arts Festival. Your outstanding work continues to gain acclaim locally, regionally, and nationally. We are certain your senior year will bring even more achievements, and we will follow your collegiate and professional careers with great pride. Please accept our most sincere congratulations. Congratulations, Noah.
At that same festival, they also named a Teacher of the Year, and guess what? It's from she's from Fayetteville High School, Leslie Allen.
Such a good citizen, Leslie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for these kids and for our district. It's a lot to take kids outside the classroom. You've taken them far outside the classroom, and you've pushed for the opportunity to do that, which teaches not just your kids, but all of us what our kids and you and Fayetteville is capable of. I really appreciate that advocacy. We're all better for the risk that you're willing to take. In recognition of outstanding achievement, the Fayetteville Public Schools is pleased to recognize and honor Leslie Allen for being selected as the Teacher of the Year at the 2019 Ozark Media Arts Festival. Your students continue to win awards and competitions all across the globe, so it's entirely appropriate that their teacher also receives some well-deserved recognition. We appreciate the high standard you set for your students and the results it produces each year. Please accept our sincere congratulations.
The Fayetteville High School Marching Band has just completed an historic season. We have the drum majors here and the band director. If they would all please come forward.
Amanda Thompson, and I'm a senior.
Hey, I'm Noah Riley, and I'm a senior.
I'm Carly Mahan, and I'm a junior.
Well done. That's the hive we're hearing, that buzzing is going on. That's your performance. I attended most of the football games, local ones, and saw that show and performance as it developed, and was really impressed. And Mr. Harper knows that my younger son was a percussionist and is jealous of all the cooler things that happen now, because I would send him pictures and say, "You didn't do that. You didn't do that." But it was a really remarkable show. So the Fayetteville Public Schools is pleased to recognize and honor the FHS Marching Band for history-making marching season. You set high goals for this season, and you certainly delivered. At each competition, you gave outstanding performances and won numerous awards, culminating with your advancement to the finals of a national contest for the first time in school history. Please accept our proud congratulations on a truly wonderful season. Well done to all of you.
Mr. Eichmann.
Okay, I've not received any citizen participation requests, and neither did Alan, so we'll move over to the board member liaison reports. And I am going to hold off on the foundation. Tim, do you have anything?
I'll just give a brief update on the Stephen Percival Adult Education Program. We had a teleconference meeting of the board on Halloween, and I don't know if there's technology issues. We did not end up with a quorum, so there was no particular action taken in terms of approving minutes. But I just wanted to point out, and Ms. Waits won't be really happy, that in their strategic plan, they've incorporated elements of, all the elements of the district's strategic plan, and have done a wonderful job of laying out those objectives and what their goals are and strategies. And they've set some lofty goals in terms of enrollment numbers they want to hit, certain levels of performance. The state requirement, for instance, there's an E&E program, the state requirement's 45%. We were at 64%, I believe, and so we're kind of setting the standard for other adult ed programs around the state. But as I said, they did not have a quorum at that meeting, but they are very much a part of our district, and their inclusion of our strategic planning metrics and language is a good indication of that. So with that, I'm going to head to another fun meeting.
Okay.
And I certainly hope we move forward with our bond restructuring and all the cool stuff. The 5 you'll decide has.
Yeah.
And if I'm done in time, I'll come back.
Okay, thank you, Tim, appreciate it.
Drag out the policy discussion.
Yeah. Oh, we're always good for that. Okay, next up is Bob with the Academic Advisory Committee.
November 14th, the Academic Advisory Committee met at the Central Office Annex. We had about 25 parents attending, which isn't too bad for this time of year. Counselors who served on the Counselor Task Force gave some great presentations and shared resources with families on college and career readiness in each grade spans, SEL, social emotional learning, and strategies for supporting students, non-academic strategies and services provided. And parents asked a lot of great questions. A lot of us stayed there till 8:30 or later. And the next Academic Advisory Committee is February 20th. Anybody want to take part? I think it should be pretty open. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, and before I turn it over to Dr. Colbert, I was going to mention we have a rock star in the back here, Susan Heil, who was able to come back for a dedication of the courtyard and this really neat, I don't know what the official term, but it's like a solar charging station that's in the greenway of FHS. And we had a bit of a ceremony for that last year, or maybe a year and a half ago. I'm trying to remember the exact day of that. And had the plans, and if you go there and look at it now, right there in the middle of the courtyard, you have this wonderful charging station that our students can use. And believe it or not, even on a day like this, it has an amazing amount of charge that's in that station. So it can even pull down solar charge on a very kind of nasty, cloudy day. But we're very happy to be able to recognize Susan and her leadership over 17 years and as president of the board during the high school transformation process. And so I just wanted to recognize you and thank you for coming out on this day. Great. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Colbert.
Okay, good. Keaton?
Yeah, so I can do a really quick town gown update.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
okay. We hadn't talked about it. There wasn't anything major. We did have a great joint city council meeting, and then there was also a joint town gown meeting this last month. And one of the outcomes from that was the realization that the university and the Fayetteville Public School District are both celebrating sesquicentennial in 2021. 150-year anniversary. So the university has some planning efforts underway, and so it'll be an opportunity to celebrate and reflect and observe on the history as a district. So and kind of cool that it aligns with the university in that way.
Sorry about that, Keaton. I'll make sure I have it marked more clearly for me next time. I jumped right to the end.
No problem.
All right, so that concludes the board member liaison reports, and so I'll turn it over to Dr. Colbert for the superintendent report.
Thank you, Ms. Feigman. My report is going to be short, and it's going to just to recognize three groups, actually. The first group, as we get ready to present to you the final recommendation from the administration concerning the facility assessment, I just want my cabinet to stand, and I want to publicly thank them for the hard work they have put into this. They've gone beyond the call to duty, and I appreciate them. So my cabinet, would you please stand? I think I have the hardest working group of people. And they do a thorough job. Very, very committed to students, and making sure that we put them first, and making sure the things that we do and the decision that we do is based upon the needs of the students. So I want to say thank you very much, Cabinet, for a job well done. And then also, as you know, we're continuing our curriculum review cycle this year. The ELA, the English Language Arts Group, and the World Language Art Group is working very hard. We have some members in here. And we want to say thank you to them as well, because they are teachers also giving up their time. Sometimes it's hard to leave your classroom, we know that. But I do want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to make sure that we have a quality curriculum in those two areas. So your job, the work that you put into it doesn't go unrecognized. So we appreciate you and thank you very much. So join me in thanking them as well. And Dr. Weaver, thank you for your leadership in those areas, and we appreciate you very much. And the last thing, just want to let you know, next week is the holiday vacation. We will be out from November 25th through the 29th, and we will welcome the students back on December the 2nd. Thank you, Ms. Dykman.
Okay, great. We are now going to move over to the discussion portion of the agenda, and first up is 2019-2020 school calendar change request. And Cynthia, is that going to be you who's coming up?
3 times I get to come up here.
I must say this is one of the more like in-depth calendar change.
No, this is small. This is small.
No, I'm saying the reasoning.
The reasoning is rather lengthy.
You guys went through quite the exercise there.
No, it was not us. It was the junior high counselors submitted this. Oh, I'm sorry.
Got a little bit out of order.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead here.
You're fine, you can stay there because it's
Hold on
just
one
a
second.
step. Just take it.
I'm sorry. I'm having multiple mess
So
ups
excited I got to come
tonight.
up here early.
Cynthia, before you go on, and I'm sorry, my thing's kind of jumping around here. I'm having some technical problems.
Oh, I don't know.
Hold on. There. I don't know why it's not scrolling. That's kind of my problem. But anyway, I'll deal with that in a minute. Before we do that, can we go ahead and have a motion, like a consent agenda that's before us? We can pull an individual item out, or there can be an item on the agenda. There can be a motion on the consent agenda.
I would just move that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, this motion by Nika. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Megan. Any discussion from the board? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, is there a little vote thing coming up? There it is.
Oh, oops.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Now up to Cincy, sorry about that, bringing you right back up on the calendar.
Okay, so the junior high counselors sent us this, and we got it for our November meeting. I think I sent it to Jennifer, so you kind of have that explanation that they sent to us. Basically, they are requesting a shift of the CAP conferences for them, for just Woodland, to shift from kind of I guess mid-March or so to April, to being specifically held the week of, between, I think it says April 2nd through the 7th. They gave you multiple reasons, which, we all, felt like were warranted. It would allow them to get the rising 9th graders done, the high school CAP conferences done, because we do ours in February. It would allow for them to have more tryouts completed, all kinds of different things as you kind of look at that list of 8. So just bringing you that, and if you look at the calendar, again, it's really small, and just the change from the spring CAP conferences for the junior high students to move from, like I said, I think it was mid-March now to the week of April 2nd through 7th. So, do you have any questions?
Does this need to also change in the next year's, we've already
approved, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, it would, I guess, also change then for 2021 as well.
2021, okay.
I don't know that we actually did that, but yes, I mean, it would be, I would imagine that they would want to, bless you, do the same thing. They would want to keep kind of that same CAP process, kind of going.
Within that timeframe, okay.
Yeah, so.
This seems really pretty reasonable to me, and it's a pretty modest change. Are there some non-athletic reasons why it would also be good?
Well, again, they're able to get the, so we do a lot of the, capping of those rising ninth graders at Woodland. We do the actual official cap conferences at the high school, but they meet with counselors and they meet with their advisory teachers and they get a lot of their information in their junior high building. So it would allow for them to kind of get all that done, get the high school cap conferences over with and allow them to kind of focus in on, capping their kids, for their building. So that was kind of one. It was also going to allow for the elementary school and the middle school parent-teacher conferences to be over with. So they would kind of have a better idea about grades and maybe, some course selection options, so it would allow for those, those third quarter grades and those parent-teacher conferences to be done with at both, at the middle schools for those rising seventh graders. So anyway.
Be kind of difficult too if people have cap at junior high and high school
And
at
high
the same
school
time.
to try to kind of do them, yeah. No, so I think this, I think it gives them, it allows for us to kind of, give the junior high, I mean, it's really important time for them to pick out those classes as well and kind of give them a little bit of separation from the stuff that's going on at the high school and kind of let them have their own cap time.
So this, I'm sorry.
Really
you go ahead.
more just a matter of how many weeks you have up until spring break, right?
Are you talking about for the quarters?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, so the
And
end of
this
the.
year, it just didn't work out right in terms of the number of weeks we had, but maybe, so
the
for next year's.
I think
we
next
may
year's a
not
little
need-
bit, are you talking about are you looking at like the number of days and stuff?
I was just looking at point number 5, where it
Oh,
said
okay, sorry.
one of the reasons for changing had to do with the placement of spring break.
A spring break, I know, and again, I mean, when, not unfortunately, I mean, but, like Thanksgiving and Christmas Day and spring break and all that kind of derives some of
Yeah.
where we start quarters and end quarters and do all that kind of stuff, and so, yeah, I think next year, but I still think that they're wanting to have it, in April to allow for, some of those other things that, that were mentioned above to be done, so that they were able to, to kind of do that capping when later rather than before.
Okay.
This is a new business item, and so it'll be on
So
the
y'all be
agenda
for
for
next month.
really in three weeks or a little more than 3 weeks, because we have an early December meeting due to the end of school. So any other discussion for Cincy or questions? Okay. Thank you very much. I think you'll be coming right back up. Next up is policy. Yeah, I think it's you. Yeah. I think it's policy 4115, the transfer policy. I think it's that change in the transfer policy.
Yes, so this is a change in the, like I said, 4115, the transfer policy for teachers, and we are just changing or adding one line down at the bottom of page 1. So when involuntary transfers are necessary, length of service from most recent date of hire in the Fayetteville school system shall be a factor in determining which teacher is transferred. I think this is in light of something that has happened, but basically from the most recent date of hire. So, like if a teacher left, that had been in the district for a long time, went and taught somewhere else and then came back and was teaching in Fayetteville, and this happened, then the teacher that had been had been hired the most recent would be the one, whether or not they had 10 years previous, they would be the one that would be the transfer. So just, like I said, just an addition.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Questions?
Questions for Cincy? Okay, this will also come back to us in just a couple weeks. So thank you, Cincy, and you'll be back up here just in a little bit. All right, so next up is old business, and we kind of get into a number of items concerning facilities. First up is the parameters for district-wide facilities plan. This was parameters that we talked about the last meeting. As a very kind of a short recap, we have been in as Dr. Colbert mentioned, a very kind of work-intensive process on a plan to address a wide variety of facility needs across the district, and also a plan to address growth with the addition of new facilities, and a plan to address efficiencies, getting more money out of the way that we operate, and using that money to fund more facility work in the future. And it's been a complex process, been lengthy, probably one of the more complete efforts I've been a part of and seen, and I would certainly second the thanks to all the staff members who really had to put a lot of thought and work into this, and to board members who also knew that this was coming and had planned for it and put a lot of thought into it with all the work that we did with regard on the facility sides to Goal 4 in the strategic plan. So the proposal that we have coming forward tonight is a bond restructuring that would not require any millage increase, but would allow the district to do much needed facility work in just about every building that we own across the district, and address, we have a situation where, just because of the nature of our district, we have a number of facilities that have been around for quite some time, and need quite a bit of attention to keep the level of that facility up. We've also have been shown, I think, very clear evidence over a period of time that is borne out to be true, that we are experiencing growth and we are hitting levels of occupancy in some of our facilities where we need to have new facilities, and that's been something that we have been knowing was coming and have been planning for. So the administration has come forward with a sort of a concept of through a facilities audit and through the recommendations in a demographic report on a concept or a plan to go forward. There are a lot of moving parts to this plan. It's going to be, if this goes forward, this is going to be an extremely busy 3 years. I would liken it to building the high school all over again. That type of project, and so there'll be a lot of work that goes into that, and the plan is going to have an element of being dynamic because of that. There's some a number of puzzle pieces that are going to have to come together, and so in thinking that through, that was the reason for the proposal for the parameters, that we have a common foundation amongst the board and the administration, and hopefully the totality of our district, that these are the elements where we should proceed, and where decisions are being made, where we should emphasize the direction that we go. So it's a long way of saying last month this was presented forward. We had some tweaks to it, some additions that were made, and I think you all have had a month to look it over. In between then, we've had quite a bit of work on facility workshops and meetings on the bond proposal, facility work, all that sort of detail. And I would propose, absent any further changes, that we adopt those parameters so we can kind of all have a common way forward. Are there any discussion or questions or proposals? If not, is there a motion?
I move that we accept the parameters for a district-wide facilities plan as written.
There's a motion by Megan.
Second.
Second by Nika. Any discussion from the board?
I appreciate your work on developing these,
thank you.
and your the administrative team's help on getting them to look as they do.
They do a good job of that. So we have a motion and a second. No discussion from the board. Is there any discussion from the floor on the parameters? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, the parameters are adopted, 5-0. Okay, next up is then we're going to move over to the facility plan recommendation. This is an old business item as well. I think last month's meeting was 4.5 hours on this topic. We then had a 3-hour facilities workshop on this topic that I think we had to almost cut off the discussion to move on to the next item in that particular workshop. So we've had a lot of work, a lot of discussion on these, and so this comes back up before us also as old business. Dr. Slocum, are you wanting to take it from here and move us forward?
Yes, and you likened it to the project at the high school, which was in one location. I would have likened it to that, if you've ever been to Dixie Stampede where the guy spins the plates on the 19 sticks, like, yes, it's going to be
That is a fair
happening.
point.
Yes. So as you went over the parameters for the district-wide facility, as you know, in this, we have 2 links, one to the parameters and then 2 links on this page, one to the facilities assessment from the facilities condition assessment for buildings and for our athletics. We do have a priority list that is based on bid outcomes, which we don't have the bids yet, and this is what that priority list is looking like at this point. And so this is what were from the discussions that we had earlier. We also have funding, and we have a recommendation statement. So Ms. Sullins is going to share that with you.
I'm just going to read it because it's so important. I think I want to get it right. After facilities assessment and conversations with Stevens, administration requests board approval to proceed with the February special election to include a bond restructure of up to $173 million. This is not a millage increase. This will restructure 8 existing bonds to generate $111 million for mechanical upgrades, lighting updates, land acquisition, and construction projects that will touch every FPS facility. The annual debt payment will remain approximately the same and also continue to support the operating budget and may include a budget plan for future facility needs. And there's a button.
I'm going to do it like that.
The next agenda item titled Budget Resolution includes all the documents that require board approval to allow administration to proceed with a special election in February to restructure existing bonds up to $173 million without a millage increase. One more time. Those are the actual documents listed there. There are 5 of them, and administration recommends the board approves the bond resolution. And Kevin is here if you have any questions about those documents. Do you want to pull out and ask any additional information on those? All prepared by Stevens. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Friday, Eldridge and Clark, yeah.
Yes, Friday firm.
I don't know if this is an inappropriate time to ask this, but you shared a document with us during our workshop that had to do with sort of the general percentages of the estimated money that would go to each of these projects, and I would love it if we could reshare that at this time. Is that possible to put up, or is that not possible to put up?
We haven't done bid outcomes yet.
Right, so I am not holding you to it. You are not writing those things in any material other than computer clicks. I just feel like I've gotten some constituent questions about our just kind of ballpark thinking about those, and is it wrong to share that right now?
I don't have it on this, but I
Okay.
can pull it.
Okay, thanks.
It's
That would
on
be
our,
great.
if you go on, it's on board docs.
On board
Yeah,
docs.
on the workshop.
I just would love if we could
Yeah.
see it up there. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't ask for that in advance. I'm sorry to spring things on you. I'm not trying to be rude. Okay. Thank you.
Slide number 25.
No,
Yeah, she said not that one, because that's the old, but she's gonna share it with me, because she said not that one.
okay.
Let's see here. Excuse me.
Justin will sing for us in French.
Oh, adrenaline's our friend, remember?
Right, so I'm not interested in figures. I'm just sort of ballpark percentages on the projects. That's what I'm looking for. I do not want a dollar amount right now. I just want percent. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
We do have that, it's,
We do. It's just, I just
just
wanted
that
to
one
share
slide.
it with the, I just wanted to share with the public. I know that we have it.
Nika's right, it's slide 25.
Did it come in here?
Here it is.
Can that be big? Yep, I think that's got percentages, yeah. So if you represent a constituent group, I feel like this is a great piece of information to bring back to the rest of your people. As you can see, the new school facility is sort of the top line item there, and then the or estimated top line item there, and then the facility condition assessment outcomes, years 1 and 2, which touch every building in the district, is right there. So I think one of the questions that I've gotten from constituents is like, there are a lot of athletics items up there. And I think looking at the percentages that will go to even sort of athletics involved things is, like, while that's certainly money, like the junior high track project is 1% of the estimated expenditure. So I just wanted to bring that up for people so that we could see it.
I mean, I had some of the same concerns. Is it on? I had some of the same concerns, and my sense, though, is that this is a somewhat dynamic discussion, and there'd still be some ability through at least the December board meeting, right, to possibly get some input and move some things around a bit. I know athletics was deeply involved in the planning for a really long time, and that's to their credit. You know, it's a lot of hard work. I'm not sure teaching and learning folks were heard from quite as much, but the process isn't over yet, right? I think there's still some time to get some input.
I think everybody's been involved from, I mean, this has been a multi-year project that we are a part of. And one of the things that's difficult when you look at something like that is, I mean, we were in a fairly deep level of discussion when going through these items, and kind of have to know what, some of those things might mean. For example, when we're talking about the facility condition assessment, that is the review that we undertook over the last year of the condition of every single facility, whether it's a school or a warehouse, and detailing, I think, 12 or 13 categories of areas of the condition of the facility: electrical, roof, foundation, drainage. You get the idea. And the lion's share of the work that we will be doing is the facility conditions assessment report, which is reflected up there at 20%. But there are items from that report that are broken out. So, for example, site drainage, the RAMI, the issues with RAMI accessibility, the LED lighting project. Those are all items that are built to the contingency fund part of that, are built into that FCA. And so it's actually a much larger percentage that is even reflected in there. And then also in the facilities condition assessment, and why the reason why there's the athletic components of it is that the condition of the girls' locker rooms in the old Boys and Girls Club and locker room spaces in Allen Faring complex, and then the field house are not good. I mean, there are serious issues across the board with the way those conditions stand, and I don't think anybody would tolerate, wanting to go forward in the future with those levels of facilities. And so those were contained within that facility condition assessment report. But even then, within the athletic component of it, there are classrooms that are involved in that. There are AP testing centers. There's a very strong academic component of that exists as well. So we certainly invite any questions or discussion on that very point for us to have, as we reach out to people and talk about this, because, to me, the cornerstone of this plan is the district-wide facilities work. Number 2 would be the new the new school. And those are 100% pure academic at its core and at its heart.
I think it's a really impressive plan. I like it, but I do wonder, we have some time to get some community input. There might be some tweaks we could do that could make it even better.
I think this is a dynamic plan for sure. But I think one of the things that we wanted to do through the workshop and then, over the last couple months was for us to come around on the concept, at least. And we spent an awful lot of time at the last workshop on the athletics component of it because that's a newer part of it. To me, this is a very diverse and balanced approach. It touches every building across the district, and I think it raises the overall level of our facilities district-wide.
I think too that while, yes, we have another 3 weeks or so until our next meeting to hear constituent input, that it's really important to remember all of the constituent input that has already gone into this plan for like years and years and years. And to not discount all the people who have emailed us, all of the, various community partners who have been a part of this, just to remember to not be blind to everything that has led us to where we are.
To move myself off of the meeting, hold on. You all keep on talking while I rejoin the meeting here.
Yeah.
So,
well,
sorry, Keaton, go ahead.
Well, just like the breakdown of the different categories, I in really broad strokes, it's like 40% growth, 30% existing academic facilities, 20% athletics, 10% contingency in like very rounded numbers. And a lot of the athletic spend has an academic, a lot of academic uses as well. So it feels pretty balanced and well considered in terms of all the different scopes of work. I think I'm also really glad that we're able to. We've got a plan to add to the building fund going forward. The banker in me, is a little bit worried by like doing a lot of building upgrades with debt, and so hopefully we can get out in front of some of those foreseeable needs in the future. So, but I think this gives us a big opportunity to catch up. So.
I think it's a really exciting plan. I do wonder if there might be some tweaks that are possible in the next 3 or 4 weeks, because I've heard from people that might be a good idea. So just to keep our mind open to some possibilities.
I think we have a standard process in place for constituents who have something to say about this plan, and so fortunately, there's no need to veer from that, but I definitely feel like if there are people that want to share their thoughts on this, they'll have the opportunity to do that in coming weeks. Tonight, I think the conversation is around the bigger picture of just approving, exactly, the big pot of money in terms of the more specific, my understanding, Dr. Colbert, the more specific distribution of that money, we will have some more conversation about that next month. So I don't think I just wanted to make the point that this doesn't feel rushed at all to me. It feels like to your point, Justin, earlier, it just feels like it has been a very thorough and I think you said complete process that a lot of people have weighed in on, a lot of different people have lent their expertise, and so I think at this point, from the board perspective, what we're discussing is whether or not we need money. But if people want to weigh in, I think we have these meetings for that reason. So encourage those people that are coming to you to consider visiting our meeting next month, I guess, would be my thought. If they have specific suggestions about how to spend that money. But
Well,
it's very clear to me that we need it.
What I'm saying,
Agree.
that's, I
Agree.
think that's kind of the
Yes.
bottom line is that there's a lot of need, if not this, which I think we have a very unique and special period in time when assessments are high and interest rates are low. We have the ability to leverage this to get state funding, which we haven't been able to do for quite some time for these facilities. It ventures into the no-brainer territory for me, but the money need is there. I think there is certainly a dynamic nature to the plan, but there are also certain things within that plan that, a new facility work and needing to address some facility areas which, really can't go forward in the future, but they have to be something done. And so if we're going to do that, with what money? And this is that opportunity where we can ask the taxpayers to do this. Not every district is in the position where they can do a project of this enormity and not ask for a tax increase. And I think that needs to be said over and over and over again, because you will not see this everywhere else. And so it's a very unique opportunity we have, and I think it also sets us up in the future with holding the debt service level at the same, is that we can also be in a better position in the future when future facility needs come through to do the same. And that would be my goal, and I think that would show a very good stewardship of the funds that we have, and kind of the remarkable work that the two of you and others have done with the help of Stevens and the whole rest of the team, David back there, and lots of others on getting us to this point. This was something that didn't unveil 2 months ago. It was years ago that this kind of little light in the very distant horizon was seen, and we kind of started moving that direction, and really feverish work over the last year and making this happen.
So glad that we made the decision, whenever that was, a year or so ago, to have the complete assessment of all of our facilities. That was way overdue, and it has been very enlightening. So, and I just feel like to have this resource, and I'm looking at the FCA grids and things, to me that is worth its weight in gold, I guess. I don't know, it's worth a lot to be able to look at that from a third party who has taken a look at our facilities and verified that these are pressing needs, sometimes dire needs, that need to be addressed immediately. That's the bad news. The good news is we now know exactly what needs to be done, and I'm comforted by that.
Same. And I feel like that point about the outside eye on this just cannot be emphasized enough.
Yeah.
It's just a very clear, like, it's not anybody with a particular program angle or anything like that. It's just looking at what's there and saying, like, this is on fire, and that is only warm to the touch. So, agree. Nothing is literally on fire, as far as we know. It's raining, so we're great. Yes, we're great.
I think we all agree with you. We've said over and over how excited and proud we are that we have a real plan, and we've got the money in line, and we really know the projects that are lined up that need to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, I should
Thank you,
point out
Al.
at the joint meeting we had with the city, had a number of people come afterwards, and we're talking about that plan and the kind of the reorganization that would happen with that around Harmon is a very big issue for public safety. Obviously, Clinton Boulevard has become a real problem with all the pedestrian, bus, and vehicular traffic. We have one way in, one way out right now, and there needs to be a kind of a new plan for that area, and the kind of public safety and just basic traffic flow. That whole area has changed dramatically in 10 years with student housing and university projects that have happened right there kind of on our doorstep. And it's no longer the back entrance that that we knew, or at least I knew in my youth. It's something that needs to change, and I'm excited about that as well. I recall leaving the football game the other night, and there was unfortunately a lady who had an accident in a parking lot, and watching the fire trucks trying to get down to that area was, we stopped and watched it for 10 minutes as they were trying to snake their way all the way down through a long line of cars. And you know, I for one would not be wanting to look back at a later date and say, you know, boy, that was a really dumb decision when we left money on the table and didn't address that problem when we had it. So.
I want to just mention one thing from our history, way back in '05, which I think nobody in this room probably hardly was here then. I know I wasn't.
In what?
Way back in 2005.
I see many, and I see many faces out there who are also here in 2005. A lot of people.
We can bring Susan Heil up here too.
Susan,
yeah.
One thing that struck me when I looked at the plan, and there were, and I really wasn't aware of most of it. I got little bits and pieces till the last month, and I do like it. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying we should be a little flexible about some things. Most teachers I know hadn't really heard of this. Most parents I know hadn't really heard of it. So I think there is for some parts of the community. For us, it seems like, oh yeah, we've been working on this forever. So for some folks, it is a little bit of a surprise. So I think we should be open to making some tweaks. That said, I do really like it. I think that nearly everything's justified and most of it's essential. One thing that struck me when I looked at a couple things struck me. One is if we build a new school, which I think we probably will in here, and I think it's a good idea, we probably want to really involve the teaching and learning folks very heavily in doing that. And might want to do something a little different than our regular schools, especially if we're doing personalized learning more. Second sort of thought I had, and this more comes back from our history, there'll be 2 new buildings right kind of on this site, and I think that's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Largely, they're not totally for athletic purposes. One of them, though, will also house some VOTEC stuff, potentially, and that's from getting in the history. We used to have something called West Campus on campus that was an extremely successful VOTEC center, and when we first we merged it with the alternative school, then closed it a year later, which I think was maybe not handled very well, but it was a long time ago. I do know our dropout rate went up a lot after we did that, and so I'm wondering if we could use this as a sort of anchor for VOTEC, if that might be a really good thing for kids going forward. And that's obviously not a decision we're going to make now, but just in terms of the history of the district, when I looked at the plan, that was something that kind of appealed to me.
So I think we're asking for a resolution. I'll go back to that page and get off of my new here slide.
Let's cover the logistics maybe for a second on what we actually have to pass too. Is that okay? Because I think your resolution sets forth, the first page has to do with the petition for, is that the first slide? Sorry.
So the documents in the packet are the proposed issuance of up to $173 million refunding and construction bonds. Is that what you're referring to?
I was referring to the first slide on the recommendation, which is, I'm sorry, it's a little slow for me for some reason.
Go
today.
one up.
One up, yeah.
Yeah, it's that
There
one.
you go.
Yeah, it's that one. So the first is to set the election, and then the second is the bond resolution. Do I have that right? Okay.
Yes.
We can do it all at once?
Thank you. Go ahead, Kevin.
Maybe if you'll step us through it, that would be good. I don't want to.
The resolution in your packet sets the election date. It adopts the proposed budget of expenditures that is attached. It ratifies a contract with Stevens, Friday, Eldridge, and Clark, and allows the president to submit the petition to the Board of Election Commissioners to get the election set. So all of that really is taken care of in one resolution. The reimbursement resolution, you can take up how you would wish. That's sort of a separate item, but it's included in that packet.
So voting for the
Well,
one resolution
right.
covers all the documents.
Yeah. So if you vote for the bond resolution, what you're voting for, that would be inclusive of the special election and all that. Yes, right, yes. Yes.
So then the motion would be for approval of the resolution.
Yes. Yes, bond resolution, yes, sir. Excuse me.
Anybody have any questions about the process? make sure that was clear.
We looked at the resolution does have.
Do we do one vote for all 5 of those?
Special election.
Yes, and that's how you have it on
So
board
that
docs,
bond
correct?
resolution
Right.
would be inclusive
One
of it.
vote for all documents.
Ma'am,
All five
yes, right, it's included in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at, item C on the agenda, and that, it looks to me like what we would be approving are 5 different things, right?
That's right. But they're incorporated into.
All into
And the
that.
bond resolution.
Oh, there we go, I'm
is-
sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, it's inclusive in there.
Yeah.
If you said,
I mean, I think theoretically you could take out an item and pass, but that's, you know, it's kind of obviously
No.
they all work together. What's that?
I would love to move that we, that we go forward with the bond resolution as written.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the bond resolution that's before us for the restructuring of the facility bonds. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Megan and a second by Nika. Is there any discussion from the board? Okay, seeing none, is there any discussion from the floor? Anybody? Okay, seeing none, coming back to the meeting, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all very much.
It's hard. I beat you guys a little bit on the verbal one.
And I think for the record, Tim was saying on the way out the door that he was supportive of it too, but. Okay, policy, next up is, Cincy, is that you again? Policy 4102. Policy for handling professional disagreements. And this was one that was up, we talked about at the last meeting.
Yeah, so this is the 4102 that we brought to you guys last month, and you had some concerns about page 3, the top of page 3, where it talked about if a grievance got all the way to you guys, the timing as to when it was submitted, and so we changed the wording to that if it was not submitted 7 workdays, like stuff has to be submitted to you guys before a board meeting, then it would be bumped to the following month. So anyway, so we've fixed that or reworded it at the top of page 3.
Trying to remember the discussion. Was there another thing, or was that that was it? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
for
think I was,
addressing that.
I think Tim that brought that up and just said, I think the wording was just confusing as to, when they, when that got submitted and, and the timing of it. So anyway, we just cleaned it up to make sure that it was clear that it kind of had to adhere to what you guys.
I appreciate that. It makes it a lot clearer.
There for us.
Any questions for Cincy? Okay. Is there a motion?
Let's see, I move that we accept policy number 4102 as presented.
Okay, it's a motion by Nika. Is there a
Second.
Second by Bob. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the floor? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, policy is adopted 5-0. Next up, ASBA Conference Delegate. At the last meeting, we nominated Garrett to represent us at the ASBA, and then obviously ran into a bit of a hiccup there. And as she often does, Megan stepped up and said,
Yeah, I would love to volunteer.
that she would like to do that. And so I would I'd certainly accept that motion if somebody was willing to make it. Or I'll make the motion. How's that?
Yeah. Let's see, I move that we send Megan as our ASBA conference delegate in December in Little Rock. I don't know what the motion needs to be.
That's perfect. Motion by Nika. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Keaton. Any discussion from the board, from the floor? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay,
Thanks, guys. I'm really honored.
yeah.
Excited.
That motion passes 5-0. And we do not have any other business before the board, so we stand adjourned. Thank you all.